That's what we don't realize. We end up hustling for validation, not realizing that the validation that we seek can only be given by us. We're hustling for validation. So we're always in competition with everybody. You ever seen somebody who is like, they're always in competition with somebody? And it's just like, why are you always competing with other people? Why is it always a competition with you? Sometimes people are competing with you and you like, yeah, because you think you did this. Well, I'm going to do this. Like, I didn't even know we were in competition. Like, I didn't even know it was a thing. It's a thing. I didn't even know we were in competition. I didn't know. Oh, we're competing? I mean, you got to give me a heads up that we're competing because I didn't actually even know we were in competition. But this is the person. Everything with them is a competition because they're always constantly hustling for validation. Always hustling for validation, not realizing that the only validation that you should be seeking is the validation that you give to yourself. As we said before, your self-worth, your self-value should only be gauged by the gauge that you control, not the gauge that somebody else controls. You know what I mean? So we could create this unhealthy atmosphere of competition, sometimes with the people that we love the most. You ever find a husband and wife competing with one another? Unhealthy competition, where husband and wife are competing with one another. And in competition, we always got to point out the other person's flaw because you are only as good as, as your last feat, your last piece of success. But if I can manage to point out a flaw, I can kind of bring you right back down. Oh, no. Oh, you're great in this moment. But what about when you did this? And this is like, got to bring the person right back down. Got to bring you back down. Because God forbid I let too many accomplishments accumulate. And then I start to feel like you're better than me. Unfortunately, this is sometimes what men and women who are married, who are born and raised Muslim, but are married to people who are converts. So now the convert starts to, if he's your husband or if she's your wife, the convert starts to learn more about the religion. Is, on the rise, counting, getting up there, getting better with their salat, getting better with the hijab, but you got to always point out a flaw and mistake in them because you have to keep them in their place and that's beneath you. You cannot allow them to accumulate too many accomplishments at one time because then the fear is that you're going to start thinking that they have outshined you. They're doing better than you. So you got to remind them, right, to humble them. All right, let me put you back in your place. You're still nothing more than a convert. You just converted to Islam 2 weeks ago. You just converted to Islam 6 months ago. You don't have it figured out. You only been Muslim for a year. Relax, take it down, pump your brakes. Meanwhile, the person is actually, showing more inclination towards Islam than you are. And you just can't give them that. You can't say, hey, one day I'm going to look up and I'm going to, wish that I was you. I'm going to wish that I had, your hands, because you are becoming a better practicing Muslim than I ever was, and you just can't give them that. Our relationships become very superficial out of fear that people will begin to see us as imperfect as we really are, as imperfect and as less successful than we really painted ourselves to be. We tend to live vicariously through the masks that we wear or the personalities that we've created in hopes of never having to confront or deal with the reality of who we are, right? You ever seen a person who, you'll hang with them and then they'll kind of ghost you. They'll disappear for a little bit. And you're like, oh, I was calling you, I came by your crib or whatever the case may be. Like, they'll ghost you for a little bit, right? They'll ghost you. You know why? Because they can't let you get too close to them. They can't let you get too close because God forbid you are able to see past the smoke screen that they created. And you're able to see that they are not as perfect and successful as they painted themselves to be. And I mean, it has to be, this is why they say, white privilege is a burden. White privilege is a burden. Why? Because you have to, in order for you to believe that you are more privileged and more superior to others, you have to maintain this facade all the time, and that can be a burden. You can't just put your burden down and just be a regular white person and just live in that. I'm not as superior. I'm not as great as as my culture has painted itself to be. Columbus didn't discover America. We are not the chosen race. We are not superior to everybody else. We might actually be a race that emerged and evolved from another race. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you can't just sit in that discomfort. We have to paint this picture, wear this mask, and that becomes burdensome after a while. It becomes burdensome after a while. So white privilege, without a doubt, is a burden. You put yourself in debt, get a pool put in your backyard, take out a second loan or take out a second mortgage on your house because you want to paint this picture to your next door neighbors who are black or across the street that, although y'all live in the same zip code, you're not the same. You know what I mean? Like, so you gotta make yourself look like, you're in debt up to your neck, simply because you have to make it seem like, black people, you guys will just never arrive, but we have the whole system figured out. That's a burden to live your whole entire life like that. And you have some people who do the same thing. They live vicariously through the mask that they have created, the personalities that they have created, because they just can't live in the discomfort of being themselves. And so relationships become very superficial. Person ghosts you for like a week. You ain't heard from them because they got to keep a little distance between you and them, because God forbid you are able to see past the smoke screen they created and see them for who they really are. And how do we counter this? We have to learn how to become comfortable with who we are. Realize that the only person that you are in competition with is you. Learn to define yourself holistically, flaws and all, instead of, looking for the most perfect aspects of yourself to define who you are. It's limiting for you to sift through and say, this is who I am because this is the most perfect quality about me. And so therefore, this is the quality that I'm going to use to define myself. So I'm intelligent. I got a PhD, or I got a master's degree, or I have this degree. And this is the most extraordinary quality externally about myself. So I'm going to lead with that. You put all your eggs in one basket because you're so much more than that. Same thing women do on Instagram. A woman is on Instagram. She's talking about something intelligent. She doesn't get as many likes or many reposts, but let a girl get on there with, some, yoga pants on or some yoga shorts on, yanked up into her crotch. She's going to get million likes, million posts. You understand? Absolutely. Because you have to search for the one quality about yourself that you are going to use to define you. When in fact, you're so much more than that. You're so much more than that. But you pick and choose one quality that you believe that stands out the most to define who you are. Who does that remind you of? Who does that remind you of? You search and choose one quality about yourself and you use that to define yourself because you believe that's the most extraordinary quality about you. It reminds you of Shaitan. What did he say? You created me from fire and you created him from dirt. He had to search for one quality that he believed was so extraordinary that stood out more than anything else. And that was, I was created from fire. But what about all of the other qualities that you had? You used to worship Allah with the angels. Was that not an extraordinary quality? You inhabited, along with your tribe, and inhabited the earth, before human beings were created, which is why when Allah said that we're going to create on earth a vicegerent, a khalifa, the angel said, are you going to create someone on earth that's going to spill blood and create mischief? Why? Because they were referring to the jinn that were already on the earth creating mischief. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Iblis down to the earth with a group of jinn to restore order to the earth. You understand? Like, you had so many other qualities about you that made you great. Why did you opt for creating me from fire? Because you thought that that was the most extraordinary quality that would outshine all other qualities. You understand? And we do the same exact thing in our lives. We choose one quality about us that we believe outshines all of the other qualities, and we use that one quality to define who we are. Whether you're beautiful and you use your long, pretty hair as your definition. You ever see girls who do that? I'm sure you've seen it. All she is her hair. All you are is hair. Then you have those who, I'm light skin this and light skin that. And, and that's all you are is light skin. That's all you are. You're nothing more than the complexion of your skin. I'm just telling you like it is. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. Yeah, you got money. You balling, you on Instagram with your money and you flashing your money. That's all you have. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. That's all you are. Great. You got money. You own businesses. You flying from here to here on a private plane, blah, 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 blah. But that's all you are. Meanwhile, you're so much more than that, but you use that to define yourself because you believe that that is your most extraordinary quality. Instead of, defining yourself by the whole you. I would prefer to define myself by the whole me, not one particular quality that I believe that stands out more than anything. That's like a person saying, let me take a picture of you. You say, oh, let me stand on my right side because this is my best side. Right? Well, what about the other side? Right. So